Got the brand new JP poll. It has just dropped right there, coinciding with the college football playoff rankings coming out. This is not a ranking system. How I'm listing these teams is not how I think these teams should be ranked. I cannot overstate that enough. Literally, I can't, because no matter how many times I say it, people will argue with me about it. So we do have some upheaval in the top 5 here. This is just neutral field favorability, how the model would stack these teams against each other on a neutral field if they played today. Let's take a look. Ohio State's our number 1 team. I have some reservation about that, but whatever. Ole Miss is our number 2 team in the country. What I mean by that, what the model means by that, is there is only one team that it would pick to beat Ole Miss on a neutral field if they played tomorrow, and that's Ohio State. That means the model thinks Ole Miss is the best team in the SEC. You want some rat poison, Lane Kiffin? There's your rat poison. Courtesy of this model that I hold in my hand. You hear me loud and clear over there in Oxford. Mr. Ole Miss hater himself is telling you, according to the model that I don't control, but I do have proprietary ownership of, Ole Miss, best team in the SEC. Oregon, number 3. Georgia is up to number 4. Texas is at number 5. These teams have kind of fluctuated. Understand, dropping or elevating 2 spots could be equal to us adding a quarter a point or a half a point to your rating. So it's not that big a deal. Let me straighten my microphone there because it's bothering me. Ignore the static for a second. All right, we continue. Alabama is number 6. Notre Dame is 7. Not big movement here. Penn State's the same at 8. Tennessee did not drop. Tennessee stayed the same. They're at 9. This is not a ranking. Not a ranking. You don't just automatically get punished because you lose. You don't automatically get rewarded if you win. Not how it works. Indiana's at 10. Big game this weekend. All right. Now, one of the bigger risers of the last few weeks is South Carolina. Jesse, do you remember off the top of your head where the College Football Playoff Committee had South Carolina? Was it like 15? 18. Okay, well, that's too low. South Carolina, October is over, but it is still really, really legit season right now for South Carolina. We got them at 11. Miami's at 12. Clemson is up 1 to 13. Now, Clemson is a team you look at and you say, oh, Clemson, what? Clemson's so flawed. Yeah, friend, they all are. It's 2024. The model is saying, I know Clemson's flawed. I've baked their flaws in, and this is where we think they belong. Like, the model would still favor Clemson over the teams below them. It would favor the teams above them over Clemson. That's the way it works. Iowa State, hey! No tampering whatsoever here. Iowa State went from unrated, back to 14. But I want to tell you, the gap between number 14 and number 25 is 2 points on a neutral field. So it looks like a huge jump. It's not a huge jump at all. Texas A&M is at 15. That's pretty much the same. Tulane is the big riser. Jesse, where was Tulane in the college football playoff rankings out of curiosity? 23. Okay, for shame, because Tulane ought to be higher than that. Tulane's the best G5 team right now. They should not be ranked higher than Boise. I'm not saying that. I'm saying in terms of power rating, we would favor Tulane by about 4 points over Boise. Just to give you an idea of how the model thinks those two teams stack up. And, I mean, they're not big fans of rat poison down at Tulane either, but that doesn't mean it's not on the menu at John Summerall. SMU is at 17. Colorado's at 18. Colorado's in that situation of it doesn't matter where you're ranked or rated, just win out and you're in. USC is still one of the most controversial teams in the JP poll because they're at 19 and they've lost several games close. And I keep trying to explain they could lose another game close. They're probably not going to drop a lot. Why? Because the model and Vegas would still favor them over a lot of teams with better records. That's just the way it works. I have better explanation, but it's a waste of time at this point to explain it. Arizona State's at 20. Arizona State is one of the stories of college football this year, because it's one thing for them to be ranked, but it's another team for a predictive, non-merit-based modeling system to take them seriously. And that's why it's a big deal. Tulane's at 16. It's a big deal. Arizona State's at 20. Good for Arizona State. We're just in time for us to go out there Thursday. Louisville is down 8 spots, so it just seems like if the model gets attached to an ACC team this year, ignore it. because you, just a conversation between me and the model, you blew it on Clemson. You had them ranked 5th a little while ago, idiot. And now you had Louisville where? You had them 8 spots higher than this, and they lost to Stanford, right, Jesse? Yes. What's wrong with you? What? No model is perfect, as Meemaw would say. I think she was talking about humans, but still, no model is perfect. And so the model is not to be trusted when it comes to ACC teams not named Miami. And who knows, maybe they're wrong about Miami too. Time will tell on that. Where were we? Louisville. Florida is at 22. Florida's got Lagway back. So the model has been consistent on this. We think Florida is a top 10 caliber team power rating wise if Lagway is healthy. They went out to Texas and got blown out without him. Doesn't matter because he's back now. They played LSU. They beat LSU. Which makes sense because they had home field and DJ Lagway. LSU is number 23. BYU is 24. We didn't really drop them. I mean, the model didn't drop them. I had manually upgraded Brigham Young because of a promise that I made to the audience. This is right around where the model had Brigham Young. We may still have bumped them a couple of spots. And Baylor, back from the dead. Baylor is 25th. Dave Aranda was on the hot seat. Dave Aranda was done. Dave Aranda is taking his belongings out of boxes that he had packed it in. Good for Baylor. Man, I also just want to tell you that between number 1, let's see, we got about 17 points between number 1 and number 25. Now, I know if I put Ohio State minus 17 against Baylor, most of you would bet it. And truthfully, if FanDuel had to put that number out, they'd probably inflate Ohio State a little bit. But we think there's about 17 to 18 raw points between 1 and 25.